Do you want to know what makes an online community truly successful? If having a community in your online course offering is right for you, and how to cultivate engagement and value in your community, stay tuned to learn. Hey everyone, it's Jacques Hopkins and welcome back to the Online Course Show. Today I'll be joined by one of the co-founders of one of the top community platforms, Circle. I know many of you are using Circle to host your community and courses. Others of you have thought about using Circle, or even if you've never heard about Circle before, that's okay because our focus today is simply on communities, regardless of platform. Andy Guttormsen is a former Teachable employee and broke off a few years ago to create Circle. In this conversation, you'll hear about why he created the product, how it's evolved over the years, and most importantly, the most effective strategies to starting, running, and growing your own communities. Before we get into it, let me tell you about this episode's sponsor, and that's Bonjoro. Bonjoro is a tool I have used for years to help with onboarding my students into my online course. It allows me to quickly and easily send a short video to my students. It's personalized, and it doesn't take me much time at all to send it to them. So when somebody signs up for my course, within a couple of days, they will get a personal welcome video from the creator. And it's something I recommend you do as well for your students. And Bonjoro makes that as easy and painless as possible. You can try it out for free. And if you decide to go with one of their paid plans, you can get a special 20% off for life by using the link I'm about to share with you. It's bonjoro.com/OCG. That's bonjoro.com/OCG. And with that, let's get on to the full conversation between myself and Andy. Hey, Andy, welcome to the Online Course Show.
Thanks, Jacques. Really appreciate you having me.
Andy, why is community so important?
One of the challenges, I think, without community is that sometimes it takes longer to get the feedback loop, because when we all create these courses and these experiences, the big thing we want to do is provide somebody with this transformation that they see and that we feel really great about. Community helps accelerate that transformation. And it also makes it super clear and obvious when it's happening because you've been along for the ride with that person.
And so I'll record the separate intro. Obviously, you're one of the co-founders of a community platform, one that's, I believe, become quite popular. I know plenty of people using it, Circle. What is it? What specifically about Circle is maybe different than some of the competitors that really helps people achieve that goal and enhances the transformation?
Yes, Circle at this point, we've over 10,000 customers. Many of the most popular communities online run on Circle. And what's kind of cool about it is, Circle is really just the technology in the background. You get all the credit, right? So you could be a massive company like Adobe, but most of our customers are just course creators and people who are building, digital businesses. And so I think what has helped Circle grow really fast is that you can get up and running really quickly, and the product gets better and better every single month. And there's also this pull in the market, which is if you're a course creator right now, you'll start to see there's a lot of demand from your students. Students want these experiences because they see the value in them. There's high perceived value, but high real value. And so, I think there's been a shift in the market where people really crave this kind of experience from their teachers.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that shift. When I first launched my course, community wasn't even on my radar at all, but that was 10 years ago. And for years, it was just the course pretty much. And eventually, after a lot of pressure, I did add in a community a few years back. And at the time, I just threw in a Facebook group for that business. But you've mentioned course creators a lot. Are you seeing a lot of your users where the community is the product, or is it almost always something added on to, say, a course?
Yeah, when we started, we thought it was going to be the former, where you're basically taking a community, bolting it on to some other existing product that you experience or some experience you provide, right? What's actually ended up happening is just, of course, we see a ton of that. But for many of the most impressive businesses that we see, actually, the community is the thing. The community is the product. And one of my favorite examples of that is a community called SPI Pro, a guy named Pat Flynn, who runs basically a membership site for business, builders and all that. But what that community, like, he has a whole bunch of different value props in there. It's like the main thing you get. It's really the connection and members chatting with each other. And so, it's not necessarily a one-to-many, course experience in that case, which is really popular, or like a cohort-based course. It's more so like the membership itself is the thing that people are signing up for.
Yeah, I've seen the inside. That's one of the places I've seen Circle in action. We had Pat on in episode 200, if anybody wants to go listen to that, where he talked extensively about this. But you mentioned where you started with Circle and kind of bolting it on to another existing platform isn't necessarily where that vision is taking you today. I had always heard that Circle was created by some people that left Teachable. So are you one of those that were at Teachable before? And if you could walk me through how that process came to be to break off and start Circle from Teachable.
Yeah. So I have two co-founders. My co-founder, Sid, he worked at Teachable with me, CEO of Teachable, Encore Agpal, one of my best friends in the world. And so, we worked there for 5 years and we built that business, together as a team, and Sid was on the kind of founding team there. And, after about 5 years or so, Teachable's business was great, probably 40,000 paying customers at that time. Obviously all course creators doing really well. One of the things that we noticed when we were there is, you always look for outliers. Like, who are the people that are doing really well and why are they doing really well? Like, what are they doing different? And so what we saw was that the best course creators, the ones that were earning the most, the ones that had these like raving fans as students, and the people who they would sell that first course. And then because they delivered such a great experience, they were able to sell the second and the third. They had these really great lifetime values from their students. Those people, they were creating some type of community experience alongside it. And it could be anything from a Facebook group to a Slack group. It could be literally a text, like a group chat. But there was some type of community experience where the students weren't just learning from that instructor, they were learning from each other. And so, we thought, hey, what if you could take a community little product and add it to a course platform? But what ultimately ended up happening was that actually the community itself, the membership experience, that was what was the main thing. And it was almost like people were kind of like adding the course experience. So I would have this membership and it would be like the whole experience. And, I'm also going to offer a course in here. I'm going to offer this like mastermind group in here. I'm going to offer this place to get feedback in here. I'm going to bring in expert interviews, and maybe I'll have a little dedicated space for my coaching. And that's kind of the evolution we saw.
One of the things I've always disliked about, for example, Teachable is it does one thing well, but pretty much just the one thing of delivering courses. And I like to have, as far as a user experience goes, have as many of the things for the student in one place as possible. And when Circle first came out, I was very encouraged by the community. You could run a community, not have it be on a Facebook group or Slack. But I think when you first launched, you didn't have courses inside of Circle, but I think you do now, right? Is that how important do you think it is to have all those things in one place for the student?
Really important, because, candidly, when we left Teachable, we were just focused on the community piece. Like, we didn't want to build course products right away. Like, we had just done that for 5 years. And also, like, we kind of actually viewed Teachable as partners. Like, we were working with them. Like, we thought the two products would work well together. At the end of the day, though, as we look at like the last few years, how different tools have evolved, there's really a desire from course creators. Like, they want it all in one, right? And like, you can't fight what the market wants. And so we eventually just were like, actually, we think we could build the best course experience is one that fits like into this kind of holistic vision, right? So if we look at like the best course businesses, a lot of times actually what they are, there's somebody who's doing some coaching. They might also have this like entry level course. They might have their kind of premium signature course. Maybe they have some group who are in this like recurring type of membership experience. But what you need is often what you need is one holistic experience where people can kind of expand into these other experiences without having to go into into 2 or 3 or 4 different tools. It should feel seamless. And so that's, I think, kind of what people are demanding actually these days.
I think one of the reasons people are hesitant, maybe they have a successful course business, but are hesitant to add a community, is the potential for creating more work. And so you want to have this thing, and you want to have it deliver value to your students. So what are you seeing as good ways to utilize the community and actually deliver value, but maybe not take too much of our time either?
I think it's such a good question. So there's a couple things that come to mind, and they're going to sound conflicting. But the first thing is that these communities, like, they really do take work. I've seen like claims out there, oh yeah, this community will run itself. Like, never happens. These communities take real work, and it's almost like starting a fire when you get it started. So you might go out, and what we recommend is actually getting like 30 founding members, or, something small, talking with all of them one-on-one. And we could talk about how to onboard them properly, deliver the value prop, make it a no-brainer for those first members. But it takes real work. And then at the same time, it's almost like if you don't have a lot of time and you're really busy all the time, actually, in some ways, you might need a community. Because what's really amazing about a community is that when it's working, after you've kind of like tried to start that fire from scratch, you're rubbing the sticks together, like, to get it started with those founding members, it can take off and turn into like this real thing. And actually, the members can help each other. And so all of a sudden, if somebody has this really important question, one of my favorite examples of a community is Dave Gearhart runs a community called Exit 5. I think it's probably the number one B2B marketing community online for tech brands and startups. There's 3,000 members. It's a 7-figure business. It's really just Dave who runs it on his own. But if somebody asks a question in there, it used to be Dave replying to every single one. Now, somebody asks a question there, there's 30 responses. And then Dave might just come in and see if he has anything to add, but like he's not commenting on most of this stuff. So I think it's definitely the kind of thing that requires time, but can pay off. The other thing, and this is what we recommend for everybody, is like, if you are busy and it's going to be a lot of work, reduce the scope. So what we always say is like, what are your rituals? Find 2 or 3 rituals in the community. A ritual is something along the lines of like, maybe you don't have an always on community. Maybe what you do is you have an expert come in once a week on like an important topic. People can come in, ask questions. Maybe you do office hours once a week. Maybe if you're in a writing community like David Perel's community, I get to submit one piece of work a week. I get a bunch of feedback from these really smart people who are going through it with me. And that's the thing. And so there's probably 20 different examples of these signature offerings, these rituals. Choose 2 or 3 to start and then layer on from there.
The reason, like I said, that I fought a community for so long with my first business, Piano in 21 Days, was because of the work thing. I didn't want it to be more work, just another place somebody could reach out to me. What I was hoping is that it would be the one place that my students could actually interact with each other. And because when I started it, I already had thousands of students, that fear didn't come to be. It was a place for people to interact with each other. But I had a lot of students already, and they all joined at the same time, and it really worked. But for people with a lower number, or if you're going through time and you just have lulls where like it's just not as interactive, would you say these rituals, is that the key thing to implement to increase engagement, where you're picking something and you're doing it on a schedule? So for example, now my community manager will post something valuable like every Tuesday, once a week, to try to stir up engagement. And then on Fridays, we'll do a post about sharing your wins for the week. Is that the type of thing you're talking about?
Totally. Like that, those are examples of rituals, for sure. And, I think at the same time, something that we've tried to do a better job of is also setting expectations with people who are launching communities around what is good engagement. And like, actually, do you need your community to be, on all the time? Because some of the best communities out there are communities where I'm going through a course and I have a whole bunch of students that come in, and it's a beginning and an end to that course. And maybe after like 8 weeks, actually, that's all we need. That was the promise that we wanted to deliver on. And so, some example, like sometimes there are courses that have a beginning and an end, and there's like an alumni group afterwards, which might be its own thing. You kind of almost graduate to that. But I think something else you can do that really sets yourself up for success, and a lot of people skip this, is nailing the onboarding of the members, because the expectation setting happens during the onboarding. So one of my favorite examples, Pat Flynn, what they do for SBI Pro, I remember back when I was going to go to college, and I was a freshman, kind of nervous, and remember they was going to do the orientation where like you go and you meet all the other folks coming in to get all the other kids coming into to college, and it's probably a month or so or whatever before you actually get there. Well, Pat, they do the same thing in their community. So you apply and you get in and you're going to be added, whatever. But before you're even added, so everybody's added together, so you've got to get to go in with a big group. But a month beforehand, they actually have an orientation where you meet, you ask a bunch of questions, all that kind of stuff. You know all these people now. So when you get into the community, well, one, you've learned all about the community because they set all the expectations in there. But then you also know all these familiar faces, and you're starting, not from scratch. They have like a video come up. They have an onboarding checklist. They ask you to go and do these 4 or 5 things. One of those things might be getting value from the actual community, going and like consuming some content or seeing some, good conversations. Another might be learning the actual environment itself. Another might be connecting with a member. And so they might like suggest you DM this member or whatever it is. And so you can do a lot of this stuff if you're thoughtful about it, where it's like you check these boxes and it really increases the likelihood of your community working, even at a small scale with a small number of people.
So is that just like a best practice, or are there actual features inside of Circle that help facilitate that process?
Yeah, so there are features, right? So like, for instance, with Circle, we have an onboarding feature where you can go in and map out like, all right, I want people to watch this video. As soon as they land the first time, we're just going to show them this video. And I can create like what we call like a start here space, which people are automatically brought to when they come into the community for the first time. Gives them like a checklist. There's things you can do with like automations and workflows, which is a Circle feature, but all it does is it enables you to kind of do whatever you want in terms of day 1, somebody's going to get this message. Day 2, somebody's going to be added to this space. Day 3, we're going to send a note saying to go watch this thing. Like you can kind of set up those types of experiences. And so it's really, it's limited by kind of what your creativity is. And every community is different in terms of how you'll do onboarding.
Yeah. So now that communities are so popular, you mentioned back at Teachable, you were looking at the different aspects of people that were really successful. You might have community, you might have somebody in there coaching, being able to submit things you're working on for review. Having seen all this and your time at Teachable and now with Circle and working with so many people inside of those platforms, where are you seeing the line between like a one-time pay option for more of a course situation that maybe has a community too, versus people charging more on a recurring basis monthly? Are you seeing that shift happen, and where do we draw that line?
I think a lot of people have started to talk about recurring revenue, and I understand the appeal of recurring revenue, and a ton of Circle communities are run by people with monthly membership experiences where I get access to like a whole bunch of content. or by the way, not even a whole bunch of content. It could just be like some community type experiences in there, right? It literally could be, I submit this thing, I get the review, whatever it is. But actually, if you look at like the ultimate performance, who's earning the most, I think there's a really compelling case for sometimes like you just have a premium one-off experience and people get access to that course and it's $500 or it's $300 or it's $2,000 and that's it. Like it doesn't have to be a recurring. You can provide that transformation in 6 weeks. And so I don't think there's a right way or wrong way, but I do think maybe people have started to kind of err on the side of always trying to think about everything has to be recurring and all of that. And I don't know if it always makes the most sense. The other thing is I think there are smart ways to do it, which is like you might have your signature product, which is maybe it's a few $100s, whatever it is, the big transformation is what you're known for. But I think for the best folks, you can offer a second product where it's kind of like once you get through that, you're part of the alumni group or whatever it is for more ongoing, all the time type stuff, or for your coaching or, whatever it is.
That's really well said. I think there's a great appeal to the monthly recurring revenue, but I do think a lot of ways it's easier to say, hey, for this result, for this transformation I'm going to provide you, it's going to cost this much money. You're not going to have to stick around month after month and maybe never get the result. Whereas I'll usually say, if it is going to be recurring, it's something that can support them on some process where you can always get better at it. I was on a podcast one time where it was almost a debate format, and I was representing the one-time payment course situation, and there was somebody else representing memberships. And I've always charged a one-time fee for my product because I'm one of the most expensive piano products. The full price is $1,000, and sometimes we'll offer a discount for $800. And so my argument against switching that model to monthly has always been, I don't think I can charge any more than $100 a month. Let's say that's the most I could possibly charge. Well, somebody would have to stick around at least 10 months to just break even versus the one-time pay. And I still believe in that. It's simple math. But the only argument he made a great argument that I hadn't thought of until that time was, what if 10 times more people are intrigued by the monthly pay option, right? 10 times more people sign up because it is monthly pay. So I thought that was an interesting argument, but I haven't tried it yet. And I'm still sticking to that one-time pay.
Yeah. And I guess there's also a difference too between recurring, like ongoing revenue, which literally never ends until a customer chooses to cancel, and installment too, which is like the $1,000
Yes.
versus like, I'm going to do this in 10 installments of $100 or whatever it is, or 12 installments versus you're signing up. There's no end in sight. You can cancel whenever you want, but it's $99. The other option is charging an annual fee, but it's still recurring. So a lot of people that do, like, they'll have like a $50 a month type membership, but they'll do it. So instead of it being $600 over the course of the year paid monthly, it'll be like $500 paid annually, or like they don't even have a monthly option, just paid annually. Because the other thing is, like, if it's a community, which is a little bit different than a course, a community, you actually like need people to be planning to stick around and contribute to the community. It's not just them taking, it's them giving. And so you have to set that expectation up front too. So sometimes with the community, it makes more sense to have people sign up for 12 months because, like, hey, you're going to be in it. Like, this is not a short-term thing.
Yeah, I'm glad you clarified that point. I certainly do offer payment plans, but that would be different than the just ongoing monthly recurring. What about cohort-based communities versus just ongoing memberships? Have you seen one model succeed more than another?
I wouldn't say that one succeeds more than another. I think cohorts are maybe like easier. I think they're easier for like the first time person to do. Actually, I still think they're complicated, but when I look at like some of the best examples of cohort-based courses out there, they're truly game changing businesses. Like they really transform the lives of thousands of students. They earn many, many millions of dollars. So I'll give you, a few examples come to mind. One is a community called Ship 30 for 30 from a guy named Dickie Bush. They basically produce a piece of content every day for 30 days. And I know, multiple 7-figure business, really great business. But they're all going through it together. They're all publishing together. Really cool. David Perel, Rite of Passage, Tiago Forte, Building a Second Brain. It's a course on, it has thousands of people going through it, tons of high touch coaching. So they're really able to help get people outcomes in a way that they're kind of more in control. It's expensive. It's thousands of dollars for each person who signs up. But at the end of it, you get this specific outcome. And I think one of the things, I guess, when you do a one-to-many course that's completely self-serve, that I always found challenging, and I noticed, I think a lot of people find it challenging, is like sometimes it's out of your control. You sell the course, and then it's kind of like just up to the student. You never know what happens after that. That was always something I found challenging at Teachable. I still find it challenging at Circle, but the thing about cohort-based courses is like when somebody signs up for it, they're also signing up for the community piece. They're signing up kind of knowing they're going to be engaging and doing work along the way, and there's going to be the touch point. So you, as a creator, feel like it's a little bit more in your control.
Are all those examples you just brought up, are they all on Circle?
Yes.
Very cool. And they're delivering like the actual course content through Circle as well?
I'd have to check.
I won't hold you to it. It's okay.
Yeah, I'd have to check on David Perel, or versus like the community piece, because some of these were launched actually before we had a course feature, and so then they had to move over to the rest of it over to Circle.
So Andy, starting a business that you can run in Circle is not easy, right? If somebody that, just like in your personal life, they learn about Circle, what you do, and they're like, oh, that's interesting. I would love to do something like that. Like, how do you recommend people get started with an online business that you can run inside of Circle?
So I think a lens to look through is like, what can we do to really give people a chance to succeed early and like get that positive reinforcement and that momentum that will sustain them. It's like they need a quick win, which to me, a lot of times a quick win is not, how do I earn a full-time living from this? It's like, how do I get 5 people interested? And then how do I actually build the confidence that I can deliver the outcome that I'm promising them, which I think is a big part of it. Like, you got to feel good that, hey, I'm going to deliver this promise. I'm saying I'm making this promise. I'm going to deliver it. And then from there, if you can do that, I think it becomes much easier to scale it all up. So, I'll give you an example. If my sister came to me, she's a video editor, and she said, Andy, I want to teach people how to do this stuff. Actually, you know what? I'm going to be a better example. My wife, she's friends with a actual like video editor, kind of like director type in mixed documentaries and stuff like that. And she came to my wife, and my wife has experience in the course space. And so she said, hey, I want to do this. I want to create, a course. And actually my wife gave her, I thought, really good advice. And by the way, it all ended up working out very well for her, which is, she said, look, you're great at creating these like documentaries and editing them and all of that. There's a lot of other aspiring documentary filmmakers who want to learn how to do all this stuff and get like a doc made. And so she created not a course. She just created a small group. I think there was like 10 or 12 people in it. She charged, I think it was like $1,000 or a couple $1,000. And she literally got together with them in person, actually, for, one time, and then did like a weekly group kind of coaching call with a curriculum that she built. Then she would teach it live, get questions live. And she did that over a couple of months, and it was great. Like, she sold the seats right away. And so she didn't have this like grand vision of here's how 1,000 people could take this course. It was hands-on, in the weeds, talking to real customers, which I think a lot of people, skip that step too much, but she didn't, and it worked really well.
I've heard a lot of people, succeed with that path, but it's intimidating to a lot of people. How did she even find the people to be able to present that offer to?
So for her, it was pretty scrappy. It was colleagues, like people like in her, like tangentially, like in her industry, who she thought might want to learn these skills from her, who she had a little bit of a reputation because like they knew of her, as just like a team member. She would go and like post on boards, like Reddit would have boards for like aspiring filmmakers and stuff like that. And she was already part of them. So like she would go in there and like help people and do all that kind of stuff. Really like look in LinkedIn in the phone, like who do I know? So like pretty scrappy because look, she just needed 10 or 12 people, $1,000, $2,000. Like, yeah, if I can make that first $10,000, help those people, like that's a really great start.
All right, Andy. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of this wisdom for us about community and about Circle. If you could spend a little time talking about your product, and I've mentioned how I've certainly looked into it myself, and at a time when I was looking to switch, they didn't have courses. I know they have courses now. So, what's the kind of the current state of the platform, and what are you excited about with where it's going in the future?
Yeah. So, one of the things that I think is just exciting about Circle in general is the product gets so much better every single month. Like this, in terms of the pure number of features and new things coming out, there's always so much. And so just by being a Circle customer, you're kind of like, all right, I know the first week of every single month, I get to see, it's like Christmas, all the new things coming out. The, Circle really what it is it's the easiest place to start and kind of like build your audience and community and build a business on the back of that community. And so, for us, we started out building these community features, which include things like live chat and discussion and the ability to have, accept payments and the ability to do live streams and live events and office hours and all of that in one place. And then, we added on the ability to do courses. And I think, it's a nuance, but there's a lot of tools that let you do courses, or a lot of tools that let you have group chat, or a lot of tools that let you have live video. I think what Circle is uniquely great at is that it does it in a way where it's not all these different point solutions. It creates this one holistic experience that makes you as the course creator look really, really good to your members. They're like, wow, this feels really good. It feels really almost custom. And so I think, that's what I'm most excited about is like the polish for a lot of these features and making the current surface area better and feel really good. It's actually not so much big new features. Now, we do, for instance, have some exciting new features coming out, like our workflows feature just came out. So we talked about onboarding earlier. What workflows lets you do, it's almost like email sequences. Like it lets you have triggers and actions where, let's say somebody takes this action in my community. Now what I can do is I can send them a note, or I can connect them with another member automatically. Or let's say somebody replies and does all these different, comments, and they're really helpful. I can add a badge to their community. I can do cool, gamification and reward people and set up incentive systems. And so, workflows is a big way to do that. Analytics. I think a lot of the best community builders, they're really in tune with how people are using their product, like their community experience. And then, based on engagement, they're going and taking action. They're improving the experience for people. In order to do that, you need really great analytics and dashboards, and you want to know who are the top contributors and all that kind of stuff. And so, that's something that we're about to launch next month. We already have analytics, but almost like analytics on steroids. Another example would be what we call Circle Plus, which is like your own custom branded apps. Nobody even knows it's Circle, right? And so, imagine you go to the App Store and they download literally it's like your brand, your app, right? So that's something that's really popular, which we've literally sold out of every single month since we started this year. We're going to lift the capacity constraints, in the next quarter or so. But that's like a big one as well when you kind of like scale to the next level, So that's it. Those are a few of the biggies.
Yeah, that's cool. I like the branded app a lot. That's really cool. All right, Andy, thanks so much. If somebody wants to learn more, is there like a free trial they can check out of Circle? Where should they go?
Yeah, absolutely. Just go to circle.so and sign up for a free trial, play around the product. Super easy. And of course, there's always people on the team that can give you a demo and show you what it looks like. But Jacques, I just want to thank you so much for having me on. It's been really great to join you.
Yeah, same here, Andy. Thanks so much. All right, thank you out there for listening to another episode here at the Online Course Show. This one focused all about communities. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you again to my guest, Andy, for joining me. For all the links and show notes, you will be able to find those at oc.show/216. And if you've been following this podcast for some time and you feel like you need some help, you need some coaching, you need some accountability, then I want you to check out the different programs we have to offer here at the Online Course Guy. To do that, you can head over to oc.show/coaching to see what we have to offer and how it might be able to help you. This puts another episode in the books. Thank you so much for being here. I'm rooting for you and your success. I'll see you next time.